Hello everybody, it is game day here at FirstBank Stadium. Alongside Joey Dwyer, I'm Billy Derrick here for VandySports.com. Joey, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this before every game, but if we get here early enough, we might be able to. So as you guys can see behind us, we're at about midfield. You can see the gold V behind us, and we're about 2.5 hours from kickoff. And Joey, the video board looks great. It feels good out here. It's hot, but hopefully it cools off a little bit before kickoff.
Right, and it's an interesting day, a lot of new stuff. We're not really even sure how the show will turn out. We're not sure how the game will turn out. A lot of questions today, and we're looking forward to answering some of them, especially on our side, but also making sure what happens on the field. The construction looks pretty good, all things considered. I don't know if it looks perfect, but about as good as you could have hoped, considering where they are in the project and that they have to have a video board hanging off of cranes.
Hanging from cranes, yep.
Will be an interesting day for Vanderbilt, not only on the field, but also in terms of the construction. But like I said in the article this week, like I said earlier, winning transcends construction. We're not going to be talking about the construction much at Chili's if Vanderbilt wins this game by 50 points. And I think that's the goal today for Vanderbilt. Go and embrace the construction, but don't let it define you.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm already sweating. I think Joey's sweating a little bit, so the heat will play a factor tonight. Joey, I want to ask about the construction and two end zones that are uncovered, right? There's no seats to block wind and the environmental elements of tonight. So do you think that plays a role at all? Maybe a field goal goes wide left because there's no more horseshoe over there. Maybe a punt, gets too much wind and goes into the end zone. So, do you think that plays a role tonight?
As a guy who grew up watching the Bears at Soldier Field, I think it totally plays a role. We'll see how much the wind is a factor tonight. I don't know how much you can hear it. Not a whole lot, so it won't be a huge thing for me. But I think it certainly plays a factor. And I think the big thing, hopefully that wind comes in enough to where it's not like ungodly hot for the fan base.
Yeah. All right, Joey, let's get into the game. Hawaii and Vanderbilt, last year they met in the season opener that was in Honolulu. Vanderbilt won 63-10. This year, I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit more competitive. I think Hawaii has an improved offense. I mentioned Braden Shager. We talked about him, and Tylan Hines, the running back, in the pregame show. What do you expect to see from Hawaii offensively? We'll get into Vanderbilt, but are you expecting a lot of points? Or what would you expect from Hawaii tonight?
I think I expect Hawaii to pass the heck out of it. They have the running back who I think led up all freshmen in yards per carry by a significant margin. Did a lot of good things for him last year. But Vanderbilt has a really capable defensive line, even without Darren Agu. I think this is probably the most capable group and the most deep group that Clark Lee has had throughout his tenure. And I think that might show tonight, and I think it's going to be tested tonight, that theory. Will also be tested against the corners, and I think that determines kind of what we see from this Hawaii offense is Martel Height getting on the field and making plays. Can the veteran corners kind of hold up against some of those Hawaii receivers when Hawaii's going to throw it a lot, so they're going to get tested a lot. How does Vanderbilt's secondary hold up, and can the defensive line stand out against an offensive line that's largely inexperienced? So a lot to ask for Vanderbilt tonight, but I think a lot of the things bode well for them, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
No doubt. And defensively, Joey, they're going to rotate on the defensive line. They're going to rotate at linebacker. They're going to rotate in the secondary, right? Because you have to do that when you're playing the run-and-shoot offense with their tempo and the quick passes that they like to utilize. So that'll be something to watch for Vanderbilt defensively. Like you just said, the corners, right? How ready to play are they? We know what we can expect to see from a guy like B.J. Anderson and Tyson Russell, right? One more year under their belt, more experience. But the young corners, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to watching. Martel Hyde, as you mentioned, Trudell Berry, just to see how much they play and how ready to play are they. Because, Joey, I think they could win. Hyde and Berry, maybe more so Hyde, could potentially win a battle tonight. And maybe they get to start against Alabama A&M. Maybe they get to start against Wake Forest up in Winston-Salem. So, just like you, I'm interested to watch that as well. Let's go to Vanderbilt offensively, right? You had a piece on A.J. Swan and his leadership and how he's stepping into a role and more ownership of the offense. And I think I talked about this with you on the pregame show. We may not see the A.J. Swan that we might see in a game against Kentucky, right? Or a game against South Carolina or Ole Miss where Vanderbilt's going to have him throw the football to win the game. I don't think they need 300 yards from A.J. Swan tonight, right? We might see it, but I don't think they need that. So we could see, like I said, some quicker passes, some bubble screens, and things to just get the entire offense in rhythm, as opposed to, hey, we got to score, right? They want to score, but I think they'll be able to lean on the running game a lot.
Right, and that'll be a big thing tonight, I think, just in terms of figuring out what this team's identity is. Last year, they were a team who could really turn to Ray Davis and hand it off to him and control the time possession. We talked about on, what was it, Friday morning, yesterday, feels like a long time ago, that Vanderbilt could potentially have a nice running game, but it wouldn't be quite like that. It would be more of an explosive running game that could get you chunk plays. And I don't know if Vanderbilt had that as much last year. They had a guy who would fight for every yard, but this year it feels like there could be a guy, if he hits a hole, can really take one far and take it to the house. And,
Cedric Alexander, the freshman. Patrick Smith has that ability, I think. Chase Gillespie, probably more of a short yardage back. But I'll be interested, Joey, to see A.J. Newberry, right? And Diego Benson as well. How many running backs do they play? Do they play all 5? Do they play 6? So that's something. How many players touch the field tonight, right? And I think it'll be a good sign the more players you see, because that likely means Vanderbilt is up big, right, in the scoreboard. So that is what we're watching for. Again, kickoff at 6:30 right here at FirstBank Stadium, right here behind us. We're going to try to do one of these before every game, right when we get here. Hopefully, if we're able to make that Wake Forest trip, we can do the same. But Joey, before we go, tell everybody what to watch for with your coverage throughout the game. Obviously, you'll be tweeting, you're on the board, but where can people see your coverage and Vandy Sports coverage?
You'll find out what I'm doing when it goes up. And it'll probably be something like the offensive report card, which Vandy Sports fans have seen before from Chris. He's handing some of the responsibility off to us, but it's a big night for Vanderbilt football as they start. It's quest to bowl eligibility, and Vanderbilt's going to have a really interesting battle tonight. Was picked against by 2 of the College Game Day guys.
Yes, I saw that.
I don't know if I love those odds for them, but it'll be interesting to see kind of where the score range is tonight. Can Vanderbilt kind of blow this team out, or does the secondary and maybe some of its offense hold it back? We'll see, and I think there's a lot of questions to be answered tonight. We'll find out a lot about this team and where it is in terms of Clark Lee's rebuild tonight. Is year 3 a year where you're ahead of schedule? I don't know if we'll figure that out completely tonight, but you'll get an idea kind of how they play against these teams early on in Clark Lee's tenure. Obviously didn't play these teams very well. Hawaii's a little bit better than some of the teams that they perform poorly against, but still gives you kind of the same idea. I don't think if Hawaii stays in this game, it's going to be because Hawaii is some incredible unit. I think it's going to be because Vanderbilt has things they need to improve on, and be an interesting outing for Vanderbilt, and one that tells us a lot, but also maybe not everything.
Exactly. It will not tell us everything, right? And Vanderbilt, I don't think they will reveal everything offensively. I'm not going to say it's going to be vanilla, but like I said, we may not see the true Vanderbilt offense that we might see against an SEC opponent, right? So, but for now, we're going to go get to the air conditioning because it is upwards of 95 degrees right now. So we're going to go grab some food and get into the AC. But after the game, if you're at the game, join us at Chili's on West End. Also, if you're in your car, tune it in. It'll be on YouTube, most likely immediately after the game, unless for some reason this is a one-score game in the fourth quarter. So we will see, but check us out after the game. Chili's will be live on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you there if you want to come. But also, Vanderbilt and Hawaii kickoff at 6:30. You can watch it on the SEC Network right here behind us at FirstBank Stadium. For Joey Dwyer, I'm Billy Derrick. We'll see y'all later.